The average human head has 100,000 hair follicles, and for decades, they function like perfect, microscopic 3D printers. They churn out pigmented strands day after day until suddenly the machine changes. It doesn't stop printing, but it stops adding ink. For centuries, we blamed this on fright, stress, or just bad luck. Scientists have finally examined the machinery of the hair follicle to find the real cause. It turns out your hair isn't actually turning gray at all. It is growing that way from the root, and the reason is a biological accident happening deep inside your skin. To understand why the color stops, you have to look at how it starts. Deep at the base of every single hair follicle is a bulb, and lining that bulb are specialized cells called melanocytes. These are the pigment creators for your hair. Their only job is to produce melanin and inject it into the hair cells as they grow upward. It is a precise and rhythmic injection process, where dark hair cells pump out eumelanin, while red or blonde hair cells mix in pheomelanin. For the first 30 or 40 years of your life, this factory runs on a perfect schedule. The hair grows, the pigment gets injected, and the strand comes out colorful. However, these melanocytes are not immortal. Every few years, your hair falls out, and the follicle resets. The old pigment cells die off, and the body has to recruit new ones from a reserve stash of stem cells. That is where the system begins to fail. For a long time, we thought the stem cells just ran out, but we were wrong. A breakthrough study published in Nature by NYU Langone Health changed our understanding of this process. Researchers discovered that the stem cells responsible for hair color don't die, but instead get stuck. These cells, called melanocyte stem cells, need to physically move back and forth between two compartments in the follicle to mature. It is this movement that keeps them active. As you age, these cells lose their ability to move. They get jammed in the middle of the follicle and trapped in a state of limbo. Because they can't move to the right location, they never get the signal to turn into pigment-producing cells. They just sit there, uselessly. The hair keeps growing because the structural cells are fine, but the color team is stuck in the waiting room. This biological traffic jam is the primary reason your hair starts growing in white. There is another force at work, happening from the inside out. Your body naturally produces hydrogen peroxide, which is the same substance you buy in a brown bottle to bleach stains or disinfect cuts. Under normal conditions, your cells produce an enzyme called catalase that breaks this peroxide down into harmless water and oxygen. It is a built-in defense system. As we age, our production of catalase drops considerably. Without enough of this enzyme to clean it up, hydrogen peroxide begins to accumulate in the hair follicle. The result is chemical bleaching. The peroxide attacks the pigment that is being produced and bleaches your hair from the inside before it even emerges from your scalp. Even if your melanocytes are working, this buildup can destroy their work. It is a double hit, where the machinery is getting stuck, while the factory floor is flooded with bleach. If you are enjoying this examination of human biology, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. We answer a new question every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, consider the one factor everyone blames for gray hair, which is stress. We have all heard the story of Marie Antoinette's hair turning white overnight before her execution. Although that is medically impossible, because hair that has already grown out cannot change color, stress does play a massive role in what grows next. A landmark study from Columbia University finally proved this link in humans. They found that when the body is under high stress, it releases norepinephrine. This chemical hits the pigment-producing stem cells hard. The surprising part is that it is not always permanent. The researchers mapped hair pigmentation against stress diaries and found that when people went on vacation or reduced their stress, some gray hairs actually regained their color at the root. There is a catch to this process. It only works if the hair is right on the threshold of turning gray. If you are 70 and fully white, a week in the Bahamas will not bring the color back. Stress pushes the follicle over the edge, only if it was already standing on the precipice. You can blame stress or hydrogen peroxide, but your biggest enemy is your own DNA. The gene ERF4 acts as the master switch for this entire process, and it runs on a strict schedule determined by your ancestry. Statistics show a clear timeline. For Caucasian people, the average onset of gray hair happens in the mid-30s. For those of Asian descent, the clock usually starts ticking in the late 30s. People of African descent usually keep their pigment the longest, with graying starting in the mid-40s on average. Doctors have specific definitions for premature graying based on these groups. If you are white and see gray before 20, that is premature. For Asian populations, the cutoff is 25, and for African populations, it is 30. If you are seeing silver before those dates, it might not just be genetics. It could be a warning sign. Sometimes, the printer runs out of ink because you aren't feeding it the right supplies. Vitamin B12 is key for the production of red blood cells, which carry oxygen to your hair follicles. A severe deficiency here can shut down pigment production entirely. Fortunately, this type of graying is often reversible. Once the vitamin levels are restored, the color can return. Thyroid imbalances and autoimmune conditions, like vitiligo, can also cause patches of white hair. The biggest voluntary damage comes from smoking. Studies have shown that smokers are 2.5 times more likely to go gray prematurely than non-smokers. The toxins in cigarette smoke cause massive oxidative stress, which essentially accelerates that hydrogen peroxide buildup we discussed earlier. If you are looking for a way to keep your color, quitting is the single most effective step you can take. We should dispel the most persistent myth about gray hair right now. Plucking one gray hair does not make 2 grow back, which is physically impossible. Each follicle acts independently. If you pluck a hair, you might damage that specific follicle. so it never grows back at all. Or it might grow back weird and wiry, but it won't signal its neighbors to turn white. Gray hair often feels coarser, but it is actually, usually, finer than your pigmented hair. The reason it feels rough is that it produces less oil. The sebaceous glands attached to the follicle slow down production. At the same time, the pigment cells quit. The result is hair that is drier and stands up straighter, making it feel thicker even when the strand itself is thinner. It is an optical and tactile illusion created by dryness. With the knowledge of stuck stem cells and hydrogen peroxide, the question is whether we can stop it? Scientists are working on a solution. The NYU team is investigating ways to physically mobilize those stuck stem cells and get the traffic moving again to restore color. There are also treatments being tested that mimic the catalase enzyme to break down the peroxide buildup. Currently, there is no pill or cream that permanently reverses the process for everyone. Dye remains the only sure fix. Biologically speaking, graying is a sign that your body is prioritizing survival over decoration. It stops spending energy on paint so it can keep the structure sound. It is a natural and inevitable shifting of gears that happens to every human on Earth, eventually. Gray hair isn't a medical condition or a failure of your body, but simply a change in your biological manufacturing. Whether it comes from stuck stem cells, a buildup of peroxide, or just your genetic timeline, it is a universal part of the human experience. Understanding the mechanics removes the mystery, even if it doesn't bring back the color. If you want to understand more about the strange things your body does, without asking, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.